so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Sorry I kept you guys waiting. Sugar Bear's fever came back. So hopefully you all, oh wait, I'm talking on this mic. Good morning, Carrie Ann. Yes, we're starting soon, Michelle. We're starting now. Okay, so I'm going to just, oh my God, first I'm going to figure out why, and it's in reverse, why this is so puffy. We're going to get into it. So there are a lot of questions in the, well, I shouldn't say questions, comments in the chat because I cut up some of the video that I did on Friday and there's like Brady stuff floating around. So I just want to give my thoughts in one concise video. And then there was another filing today or yesterday from Attorney Owens representing Madam Sarah Catherine Boone. So we'll go over that too. So upfront warnings, baby is here, dogs are here, and I'm going to show the suitcase video, but I will give another warning before I show it, just because it's relevant to what Mr. Owens, but that'll be closer to the end, but just I want to warn everybody ahead of time of what you're getting into. So let us start with, first, I want to go over just what the Brady material is versus the Brady file, just so we're all starting off on the same page. Oh, God. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see that? Let me make sure. Yeah. I'm going to make it a little bit larger because we're going to focus on the part that's closest to my face here. So all I did is put in a search in Google. There's links in there. I also have the link in the description of this video if you want to look for it yourself, because they also link off to where their source is. But the AI overview, and it's also posted in the community tab. Brady list is a list of law enforcement officers, Leo, who have a history of dishonesty, while Brady material is the term used to describe the evidence that prosecutors must disclose to the defense, right? So Brady lists a list of officers who have a history of dishonesty, such as lying in an official capacity. Prosecutors are required to notify defendants and their attorneys if an officer on the Brady list is involved in their case. Brady material, the term used to describe evidence that prosecutors must disclose to the defense in all criminal cases. Brady material includes any information that could help the defendant. So if they don't give them that information, that is a Brady violation. And when you violate that, you get on the Brady list. So as everybody, hey, Steven, how are you? Welcome. I saw you last night in SKR's chat. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. I see all of you guys. Oh, my goodness. Bama Green Eyes, good morning. Maureen, good morning. Dr. Barry, good morning. He's on the up and up, but his fever just is coming and going. So I'm just keeping him on Tylenol. Well, I'm not just keeping him, I'm as needed. So I tried yesterday to not give him any and the fever came back. So he's on it again today. Okay. Which means he probably can't go to school tomorrow because they have to be 24 hours without. Elizabeth Warren, not the Elizabeth Warren, the senator. Okay. Oh yes, I saw you in the chat last night too. Okay, so we're all clear. It sounds like I'm on the Brady issue. Now, why has this suddenly come up? Well, I'm glad you asked. Wait. So this came up. This is the motion that Owens filed last week that we read on Friday, right? And so one of the things he mentions in here, well, two of the things are tied together, but one, why he's asking for more time. Defense motions will need to be filed concerning the potential Brady material. Well, what material is he talking about? He is saying that because Sarah alleges that there is exculpatory, here we go, evidence on her phone that the state is in violation of the Brady Act, right? Or not the act of whatever it's called, in violation of Brady. Let's just say that. I don't want to misname it. So during these meetings, the defendant disclosed, oh God, hold on 1 second. Let me get her. Okay, it's all guns ablazing here. Because that this, what he calls photographs, videotapes, calendars, text messages, notes, witness numbers, names, and numbers, because that's being withheld, they are alleging that the state is causing a Brady violation, right? And further, because they withheld this, they haven't been able to, or previous attorneys haven't been able to fully explore this anticipated battered spouse syndrome defense. So it's kind of two-pronged what he's doing to get more time, right? And so then some of you guys, because I mentioned that this was as a result of Chelsea Copsall having been on the Brady list, people were like, no, no, that's something different. What I'm saying is Sarah is vengeful. So remember with Bankowitz when she discovered that here, wait, let me see. I want to see you guys. I want you to see me. Remember when with Bankowitz she discovered that he had previously been reprimanded because of not communicating with a client, right? She's taking that information and weaponizing it, just like she did with Bankowitz when Wooten was still the judge, because she alleged, look, it's not just me. He's been reprimanded before. And then when they called her out on it, she kind of threw the rock, hid the hand, and was like, oh, no, I just looked upon that because there was a party external who was helping me look for different ways to contact him. And we stumbled upon this, which fair. Okay. You can claim that once, but I see you, Sarah. I see you because you also said it about Eli in your interrogation. I hope this doesn't get him in trouble, but he's here illegally. That has nothing to do with why you are here and why your boyfriend was in a suitcase. So what I'm saying is because Sarah found out that Chelsea had a Brady violation, or that she's been exonerated, which I posted that in the community tab too. I'm not saying that she hasn't been exonerated, but Sarah is like a dog with a bone and she knows that that happened. Then you guys might be like, well, are you reaching? So let me show you this. Let me find it first. Like, how do I know that Sarah hasn't let that, or why do I think, because I don't know. Why do I think Sarah hasn't let that go? Am I, oh God, sorry guys. I'm getting too excited. I don't know why. She makes me like, girl, we know who you are. So this is her 58-page letter. Uh-oh. Only I can see it. I'm glad I checked before I started rambling on. Okay. This is her 58-page letter that she sent that, what did she say? That the judge misunderstood and why she's in the predicament she's in, or she was in, before Owens came in on his white horse. So this is where she's ranting on really about Cashman, but she throws this in. And Sarah's just reckless with her mouth. So she says, as the compelling, annoyed detectives in my case, which, side note, she says annoyed. I believe she means annoying, but yes, they were annoyed by her foolishness. So good on her. Copsell, who is Chelsea Copsell, had to falsify documents, and Lowen wore his gun for me to see, right? So she's alleging that they're against her. In her mind, everybody is against her. So now that she knows that Chelsea Copsell had been on the list, she's alleging that she falsified documents. Of course, in true Sarah fashion, she doesn't go beyond that, right? She doesn't show any proof of it. She just throws out the accusations, like when she was telling Cashman, like, oh, she's lied to me, and Judge Cranick is onto her too, and he was like, what is the lie? And we never heard that lie. Then she switched it to, well, she lied to my brother, but then it changed to, well, she scared my brother off by telling him all these things, right? So she has this. So some of you guys are like, maybe. Like, and this is what I talked about on Friday, so I'm trying to like succinctly have it in one video so it's clear. Chelsea had been accused of falsifying information to obtain a search warrant. She was since exonerated from that, right? So I'm just going to show you that one. Notice of removal of state witness from the state's Brady identification system. And this was filed May 9th, right? And that letter that Sarah wrote was in June. So she had already been exonerated. I can't say 100% that Sarah knew or didn't know, right? It depends on if Cashman told her or not. Certainly Cashman had relayed that Chelsea had been on the Brady list. So Sarah knew that much, but who knows what their communication was, long story short. So here, Chelsea Connolly of the Orange County Sheriff's Office, an exonerated finding was issued in an Orange County Sheriff's Office administrative investigation into falsification of records, which is what Sarah had accused her of, right? Of falsifying. She accused her of falsifying a document, right? And so I believe that this is tied together. I don't think it's a coincidence that suddenly Sarah is very interested in that phone, is very adamant that Copsell falsified documents without any clarification as to what she's referring to. So I think she's just sending Owens on a fool's errand, and maybe he hasn't seen, hopefully this weekend he spent time getting up to speed on like Sarah's, oh my God, discovery, because for sure they sent him via email the first 123 pages, but she's not clear and concise. And I mean, good on him, right? He should be believing her. That's what she wanted. Someone who runs with what she says. That's how I'm interpreting her believing in. He answered the ad, so he's following like the guidelines, yes, that she set out in the ad. And I don't think he's in far enough to like test trust but verify is what I'm trying to say, right? I'm not saying don't believe her, but I'm saying trust but verify, so he doesn't look like a fool when he goes in there, because I just don't think it has legs. And I hope Cranick is also reading up on these things, but he knows because he cited in that 16-page letter like the different things that Sarah did in her behavior, just like with them trying to, and I have a video already so I won't go too much into it, but about the previous, they're not interrogations, meetings with psychologists, I'll just say that, and psychiatrists. Like, she's had at least 3, and yet he's asking for another one, right? And in that 16-page letter, Judge Cranick noted that one expert psychiatrist that Hobson had, Sarah didn't agree with their findings. Well, Sarah's not the expert, and you're not meant to be shopping experts that'll say what you want them to say, because that just seems like yeah, I'm not going to comment on how exactly that works, but I don't think you should be paying for the opinion that you want, even though it may happen. Okay, so what are your thoughts? Because I feel like I like to crowdsource these ideas. So the question is really whether these images, videos, audio, text still exist on the specific phone and evidence she's been through multiple phones. Right. However, the phone that she's alleging that they are withholding is a singular phone, and they've already done an extraction on it. And her second, technically first attorney, the first attorney that worked on her case, Padillo, hired a digital forensic analyst to also extract it. And the state has told her at least 3 times since she was pro bono that she could hire someone to extract it, because she stood in court and said, well, I just want to extract it. And that's what, like, did you go to digital forensic school while you were in jail, Sarah? But they told her she can't turn it on unless she's in that whatever box, so that the data doesn't change on it, right? But she has an extraction of her phone, and now her attorney will or should soon have it if he doesn't yet. I want to be fair to her, though. There is proprietary software where some of the videos she's not going to be able to see. There's proprietary software for Cellbrite, and there's proprietary software for Apple, the HEIC format for the photos. She's not going to be able to see those on the laptop that she has, to be fair. But I think, and maybe he's just coming in hot with everything and they can diffuse it. But in order to do your due diligence, he needs to really review what's on that phone. Because I feel like it's pretty strong to accuse somebody but he does say potential, right? And I know the defense attorney is supposed to zealously, I watch Natalie Lawyer chick, they're supposed to zealously advocate for their client. So he's definitely doing that. The prosecutors are probably having a heyday with that motion about evidence being withheld, I'm sure. The full extraction is already available in the USB drives and in hard copy, right, NRH. But I'm wondering if she can see the videos. That's what I'm saying, because they did note that there has to be, and I put that in another video, there's a specific software, right? Because Cellbrite wants to get their money too. Just like you only can use a certain type of film if you have a Polaroid one step. I'm old, I'm showing my age. Or, like a certain game for a game box, there's a certain software that is required to open up certain files on Cellbrite. Maybe that's what she ran into. We don't know, because she didn't come into court with specifics. And even the state said there's some software they needed a certain software. They didn't specify for which, but they needed a certain software. I only know because it's in one of the motions where they were asking if Mr. Lane could take a specific, now this was way back with Padilla, if Mr. Lane could take in a laptop that already had that software installed, because the jail laptop is locked down. You can't add anything to it, right? You can't install anything on it. You can merely put in USB drives. So they were asking if he could bring it in, stick the USB into that one, and just view it, have Sarah view it. He would take it in and leave it out, and they were open to inspection. I don't know if that happened or not. Yeah, I don't remember. Even if it was granted, it doesn't mean that it happened, right? But I know there is specific software. But to come out and say it doesn't exist at all. Also, what does it have to do with what happened? That, like, I have, since we talked last, looked up the battered spouse, and she needs to have been in imminent danger, as I'm interpreting it. Again, I'm not a lawyer. There was no imminent danger. She was laughing at him. And let's just say, for example, if she was having flashbacks of previously being in imminent danger, what did she think was going to happen when she woke up the next day? Now, she's saying she fell asleep unintentionally. So let's just say it was in 1 hour or 2 hours later, right? If she hadn't fallen asleep, if we follow her logic, what did she think was going to happen when she let him out? If she just like went and unzipped it, and she's a battered spouse and he's the aggressor, what was going to happen to her when she let him out? So by her own story, she had to leave him in, and then she should have called the police. But now, after calling the police on him for every other little thing, she can't think to call the police. It doesn't make sense. And then she knows, because if you guys watched, some of you guys were in SKR, they being Sarah and Brian, had previously been reprimanded by CPS because there was something on Facebook where the son, Lucas, had been in a suitcase, zipped into a suitcase, and they came out and investigated. And then they asked Brian again about it in his interview, in the interview where he's in the car. It's just the audio, like, what was that about? But CPS did come out, and that's what Brian says, and told us. So CPS is coming out because it's dangerous for human beings to be zipped into suitcases. So she can't say, well, she can say anything she wants, but it's not believable for her to say she had no idea that it would be dangerous to be in a suitcase, zipped in a suitcase for a prolonged period, right? Okay. So this is what was filed. Is today the 2nd? It was filed today at 10:15. Can you guys see that? Let me go back. Nope, you can't because I don't have it up. Put baby in the corner. Okay. So this was filed September 2nd, 8:10, 10 after 8 and 15 seconds. Let me just say that so I don't twist up my brain. So motion for statement of particulars, and this is filed by Owens. Comes now the defendant by and through the undersigned attorney under Rule 3.140 of the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure and requests this court to enter an order requiring the state of Florida to furnish the defendant with a statement of particulars concerning the alleged offense, including the following. The defendant, I always think of Attorney Alper from the Daryl Boone's case. Sarah Boone is charged by way of an information with a single count of second-degree murder. Okay, and my understanding of that, and why information is highlighted, in Florida, you can be charged with either an indictment, like a grand jury indictment, or information. And there wasn't an indictment for her, so it was from information. So there was a filing for that, and I'll pull that up. It is a little bit scant, but I'll pull it up just so my train of thought is clear. If it's wrong, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you how I'm interpreting this. The pertinent part of the information states charges that Sarah Boone, on or about the 23rd day of February 2020, in said county and state, did, in violation of Florida Statute 782.04, by an act imminently dangerous to another and evincing a depraved mind. Is it evincing or should it be invincing? Whatever. A depraved mind, regardless of human life, did kill George Torres. Under the Florida standard jury instructions for criminal cases, oh, he's preparing his jury instructions. Good on him. 7.4, murder second degree. To prove the crime of second degree murder, the state must prove the following 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. You want me to pick you up? Okay. Up. Hang on one second, guys. Uh-oh. Okay. Liberty, out. Okay. Number 1, victim is dead. So we know that's proven. He had an autopsy. Number 2, the death was caused by the criminal act of defendant. Number 3, there is an unlawful killing of victim by an act imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. Now, if the video doesn't show that, I don't know what is. And I don't think he's going to be able to get the video suppressed. So, definitions. An act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. You want Eskimo kisses? Okay. An act is imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind. If it is an act or series of acts that one, a person of ordinary judgment, would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another, is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and is of such a nature that the act itself indicates an indifference to human life. In order to convict of second-degree murder, it is necessary for the state to prove the defendant had an intent to cause death. I'm going to just skip to number 6. The rules require the information on which the defendant is to be tried shall be a plain, concise, and definite written statement of the essential facts constituting the offense charged. The information fails to inform the defendant of the particulars of the offense sufficiently to enable the defendant to prepare a defense. Wherefore, the defense would respectfully request the court consider this request and grant the defense motion for statement of particulars. And it's signed by Mr. Owens. So I was like, oh, wait. Say what now, Mr. Owens? And so I went to look for it. And I was thinking, oh, is that the what the original charges were, right? Because that's pretty detailed. It's like 3 or 4 pages and it goes into like the videos and everything else, but that is not it. So this is what they filed for information, this being the state, the ASA. In the name of the authority of the state of Florida, Aramis D. Ayala, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, State Attorney of the 9th Judicial Circuit, prosecuting for the state of Florida in Orange County. State Attorney of the 9th Judicial, by and through the undersigned designated Assistant State Attorney under oath, charges that Boone, on or about the 23rd of February 2020, in said county and state, did in violation of Florida statute by an act eminently dangerous to another and inventing a depraved mind, regardless of human life, did kill George Torres. So, oh God, I didn't show you guys. Hold on. Oh my God. Sorry. It's really short. I'll leave it up there so you can read it while I'm talking. So I think he has a fair point of like holding them to task, right? We obviously know there's a video. We obviously know the particulars from the indictment, but to be to the rule of the law, if this is the information that they filed and I'm interpreting it correctly, it is lacking, right? It doesn't have all the specifics of what has to happen. I don't think it will take long for the ASA to type something out and detail what they intend to bring and what evidence, I mean, they know the evidence, I guess, what evidence they intend to use. It still is not going to mitigate the fact that Sarah did not file any objections. And I couldn't remember that name on Friday. Thank you for whoever dropped that in. I kept thinking oppositions and I was like, that's not right. Sarah didn't file any objections to the 9 pieces of digital evidence that the state intends to use and that they gave to her. Do I expect her to come back or Owens to come back with excuses as to why? Sure. Will Koenig buy it? I hope not. Are probably having a heyday. Yeah, let me just see. Mud, it will be on your face tomorrow. I'll be willing to bet that time and alcohol abuse equal Boone's false, missing, fuzzy memories with regard to all this evidence. She says I agree. Alcohol affects the hippocampus and hers has got to be shot. Sarah will claim the prosecution deleted the videos of George abusing her. Watch this space. Oh my God. Okay, Rachel. Maddow. Hey, Kara. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to do it. Oh my God. I was so like trying to get in here and I was running late. I apologize. I forgot to say hello. You going to help me say it? You going to help me say it? Come on. Let's do it together. Hello, true crime lovelies. Are you going to say it? Hello, true crime lovelies. Okay. So I'm not gonna reread the whole bit of what they filed, like the day of interviews, but I do want to look at some of this. Because some of this is like, this woman is reckless. Right here, let me make sure. I'm glad I checked that. I'm showing you, put myself in the corner. Sarah said her and George were painting pictures and completing a puzzle while sharing a bottle of Woodbridge Chardonnay wine. As the evening went on, Sarah said her and George decided to play a game called hide and seek. Sarah hid upstairs in her shower first and said George never came to look for her. After a while, she decided to go, and this is written by Detective Chelsea Copsell, because she's referencing Detective Scott here. So when she says Detective Scott Lowen and I, that's who it is. After a while, she decided to go downstairs where she found George. Sarah and George both thought it would be funny if she zipped George in the blue suitcase that was located downstairs in the living room area that had a few miscellaneous items that they had both planned to donate. George willingly got into the suitcase. You okay? And Sarah zipped the suitcase up. But two of George's fingers were able to stick out of the suitcase. George and Sarah were both laughing that she zipped him into the suitcase. Now, you guys remember on the 911 call, she said, I put him into the suitcase. Now, it's the other way. Good Lord. Now, in this telling, he was in the suitcase of his own volition. Sarah explained the attached handle that made it easier to zip the suitcase was broken, but a paper clip was in the zipper, and she was able to zip the suitcase up. So I feel like it's the tab she was referring to and not the handle. You know, the little zipper. Back in the old day, they used to say XYZ, the pull tab. Sarah explained on February 24th at approximately 12:30 hours, Sarah decided she was going to go upstairs while George was still located in the suitcase, thinking he would get himself out. Now, she called Brian at 11:46. So then at 12:30, she's saying she went upstairs. Sarah laid down in her bed and fell asleep approximately 20 to 30 minutes after going upstairs. She assumed George was going to get out of the suitcase and come to bed as well. Sarah said neither her nor George were drunk from the wine. Sarah woke up in the morning and heard her cell phone ringing multiple times but ignored the calls. Sarah said her cell phone was left downstairs from the night before. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry, guys. Wait. Sorry, guys. Oh my God. Wait. So I just wanted, so based on Sarah was saying she called Brian to tell him that George was dead. But according to Brian, she didn't call. The first time she called was after she answered his call and said, are you on your way? Like, she'd already told him that George is dead and are you on your way? And first thing. Okay. Oh God. Let me go back. Hold on. No, sir. He's decided he wants to be jumping on the bed now. Let there be sound. And sound was good. Okay. Basically, what I'm saying is that was already entered into the record. Oh, okay. Deep breath. Okay. So sorry, guys. That was already entered into the record is what my point is that they have that available, but it sounds like what Owens is saying, because that wasn't entered into the information, that he's holding them to task, which fair enough. So that has to go on. I feel like it also indicates he's looking at the jury instructions and prepping, because that's going to have to be submitted soon. And that is, he's listing out what the state has to prove. I have a green shawl over here and it's come down. So let me do that. That's what the state is going to have to prove. And so he's coming in with a lot of things. I think tomorrow is going to be interesting, right? So they're going to have to go over the motion. Well, one, his that he's filed his notice of appearance, so he'll be officially on the record as her attorney. And then they're going to have to address the motion for the continuance based on, so we already know Judge Koenig is not going to give them a motion just because there's a new attorney, right? He said that it clear as day, black and white. So that attorney knew what he was signing up for, or he should have known what he was signing up for. But I think that's why we're coming in with also with all these extraordinary claims, is to give a reason for the extension. Now, my thoughts are, one, I don't think he should. However, I'll say this. Originally, the trial was meant to be 3 weeks when Sarah was going to be, well, not originally, but the last order was that Sarah was, because Sarah was pro se, the trial would take 3 weeks, right? Now that we have an attorney, is it possible the trial could be shortened to 1 week? And in that event, if it is shortened to 1 week, if he gives them, say, 2 weeks, 1 week or 2 weeks, we're not really changing the end of the trial. We're just pushing the start date back. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So instead of 3 weeks, it will be shortened to 1 week. And then those 2 weeks that we're taking back away from trial, we just have it as trial prep. So we're not really moving the goalpost, so to speak, but he's getting the time that he wants, and the trial is still going to conclude at the time that Judge Koenig originally scheduled it to conclude. Does that make sense? Let me just look at the calendar so I can say it in numbers, and that way we're all on the same page. So right now, the trial is scheduled to start October 7th, and it would end October 25th. If we say that it will no longer be a 3-week trial, it'll only be a 1-week trial, which it was originally slated to be prior to Sarah being pro bono. I mean, oh my God, pro se. Sorry, my brain. I have a child in my boob and I'm trying to talk intelligently here. So if we push it back to 7/21, October 21 instead of October 7th, it'll still end October 25th. So he kind of like splits the baby, so to speak, right? It's not pushing the end date, and it is giving. So I feel like that would address any appeal issues, but he's not giving them like a month, or I don't even think he's going to give them 3 weeks. This guy knows what it is. There are multiple psychiatric evaluations that she's already been through, and I don't see how the cause, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer again, but maybe they could do like an evidentiary hearing on what are the prongs, it's 3 prongs of battered spouse syndrome, and how, what evidence he's proposing would get them there, right? To even file that. I mean, that has to be part of the motion that he's filing, right? When he says it has to be filed. He being Owens, sorry, it all makes sense in my head, I promise. Let me just go back to this so I can clarify exactly what I'm saying here. Okay, so this is back to the motion that Owens filed. Because if he pushes it back 2 weeks, that gives him an additional 10 days, not 14, because it's, well, if he works on the weekend, it'll give him 14 days. The evidence will potentially corroborate her anticipated battered spouse syndrome defense under Rule 3.201 of the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. He's looking for a range of possible defenses. There's one more thing he mentions. Notice of intent to rely on the battered spouse syndrome defense must be filed 30 days before the trial. The notice must be filed by September 7th, which is 8 days away. So again, that would help if he gave them those 2 weeks at the top. But let also look at 3201, 3.2, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. Okay. 3201 or 3.2. What did we say? 3.201. Oh, God. Wait, I'm going to put my face in there so I don't get you guys dizzy spinning through to get to page 119. I'm sure there's a go-to button somewhere, but I've got one free hand here. And I feel like at least one attorney, Winston Hobson, explored that. I can't remember if Padilla did, but for sure, in looking at, because he included that in one of his requests for witnesses, that and blackout syndrome. There was one of the experts he was seeking. But I want to know your thoughts on how you're interpreting this battered spouse, because I just don't see it. Okay. Add you guys back. Okay. Battered spouse syndrome defense. A, battered spouse syndrome, when in any criminal case, it should be in intention of the defendant to rely on the defense of battered spouse syndrome. Liberty. Stop. At trial, no evidence offered by the defendant for the purpose of establishing that defense shall be admitted in the case unless advance notice in writing of the defense shall have been given by the defendant as herein provided. So that's where he's referencing about the notice. So B, time for filing notice. This is the 30 days that he's talking about. Defendant shall give notice of intent to rely on the defense of battered spouse syndrome no later than 30 days. The notice shall contain a statement of particulars showing the nature of the defense the defendant expects to prove and the names and addresses of the witnesses by whom the defendant expects to show battered spouse syndrome insofar as possible. So he was not convicted on any of those. I do want to make that note. I know they talk about probation, he being George. I know they talk about him being on probation, but as far as I can tell, his probation was based, it was a contingency of his being out on bail, like part of his release program. And he had to do the anger management and all of that. So I mean, I guess in the same way that the jail was saying Sarah was charged, even though it didn't go to trial, they can use it in that sense. But he wasn't convicted of any battery of Sarah. Oh, wait, how did we get to death penalty? So this is it then, 3.20 to 3. Really? Wait a minute. What else did he say? Yeah, he said 3.201. Now we're at 3.202. They're not looking for DP for her. So okay, yeah. Also, one of you guys pointed out that if he, being Owens, has a mental health expert to examine her, then the state also has that. So that is not going to be able to be done within the time. I don't know if the state has examined her at all, had her examined, but by a psychiatrist at all. So I'm thinking if Owens is going to, sorry guys, if Owens is going to submit that the state will have to do some sort of evaluation to rebut whatever the other psychiatrist has said. I just see that as a longer delay. So hopefully Owens doesn't, I mean, dear Lord, Kranick, hopefully. Now here's your warning again, because this isn't depraved heart. I just don't know what it is. Okay, stop. I'm trying to get it to stop so I can show you guys. Okay. Jesus. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to figure out, how do I make that screen bigger? Here we go. I've stitched them both together. The first one is 22 seconds and the second one is like 2 seconds. There isn't an 11-minute video, and I read that somewhere. It was a typo. I believe what they're referring to is there's 11 minutes in between the time that Sarah took the first and the second video.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Sarah. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. I want to get video for it.
So I paused it really fast. That's the part where I was saying on Friday where she's saying wriggle around some. I might want to get a video of it. Just if that's not cruel, I don't know what is.
Extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah. I
Fuck
can't
you.
fucking breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
Shh.
I'm going to back it up a little bit from the end of, because now it's to see the suitcase is flipped over. I want you guys to look at the bottom left of the screen and you can see like drag marks. So I don't think she just merely flipped him over right there. I think she like drug him around, and you see her shoes are over there. There's one that's clearly visible, and then right tucked underneath the suitcase, it's upside down. So you can't see like where her, where the toes go in, but it's butted up against the suitcase, slightly underneath the sandal that's clear, because you see that sandal's not laying flat. It's because it's on top of the upside down sandal. But I'm going to go back just a little bit so you can see that. And she says it again a second time, wriggle around some. I know some people thought she was saying ransom. She's saying either wriggle or wiggle around some.
Shh.
So do you see, I don't know, can you see hold on, let me move her so you can see. This drag mark here wasn't there before he got flipped over. And the suitcase was this way. So she's done something with it. Because this to me gives like wheel at the bottom of the suitcase on this outer section, and then the body of the suitcase there. Because she's not fully lifting it up. She's like dragging it. So I know I wasn't there. I'm just recreating it of like, how else could that get there? I mean, the police have to do that too, right? They weren't there either. You got to look at what's there. So then let's go back, and then I won't show it anymore because I know this is hard. So right there's, oh wait, stop. Actually, this is here already. It's just the shoes that are moved. So I take that back. Maybe she was dragging him around before. Based on the video that I've seen before, the stairs it's out of shot, but they're over here somewhere of the stairs going up inside the townhouse. But yeah, there's already, it's still irrespective. It still looks like a suitcase drag mark to me. But here are those two shoes. They're here. So maybe she put them on. He's laying this way. Then she flips it over this way. So maybe she didn't drag it here. Yeah, because it's somewhere like, because this is like the little light to turn on, or the clicker to turn on these lights. And it seems that he's just over here.
Sarah.
She basically flipped it over, right? And she said, I flipped it over. I didn't want him to be like that. Like, okay, ma'am. Still don't see any fingers coming out of that. Angel baby, hello. Seems a non-starter to me, right? So that is what it looks like. And then let's go to the second degree charge just one last time. Okay, victim is dead. He's definitely dead. Death was caused by the criminal act of the defendant. So unless he's trying to say leaving him in the suitcase, I know I've saw like some of you guys pointing me to Law and Crime where they were like, well, she didn't have a duty to assist. But if she put him in there, doesn't she? And if she zipped it up where he couldn't get himself out, I just don't get that one. And there was an unlawful killing of the victim by an act imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. If wriggle around some so I can get a video extra is not depraved mind without regard for his life. Like he's saying he couldn't breathe and you want to get a video. Then we've got an act is imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind. So this is the legal definition, not Tanika's 2 cents of it. If it is an act or series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do seriously bodily injury to another. And also, this isn't even considering the testimony that infers that likely George went tumbling down the stairs in that suitcase, right? That definitely could have caused, his spine could have cracked going down there. Is done with ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent. Sounded like hatred and spite to me. And we also have the ear witness testimony of, I hate you, from upstairs. And then number 3 is of such a nature that the act itself indicates an indifference to human life. Her going upstairs is an indifference to human life. So Sarah's first version of events. Yes, during the 911 call, she says, I put him in the suitcase. Yep. Raise your hand if you helped the person you were looking for hide in a game of hide and seek. Nobody. Hey, Amy, how are you? No, that's not how you play it. And then when she's in the interrogation, she also says like tag or whatever. And so tag is not the same game as hide and seek. Here, Sarah, sign this. She took off her sandals and proceeded, oh my God, to jump up and down on this. Oh, don't say that. Do you think she did? I was thinking he went down the stairs on his left side because he has the contusion on his head, the bruising on his left shoulder, and the scratches. But it also, last night in SKR's premiere, people were saying maybe she hit him with the bat and knocked him out, and that's how she got him in the suitcase. They do have a crime scene recreation expert on both sides, so hopefully we'll get a sense of, it's not as straightforward as like ballistics if the shot entered here, but I'm sure somebody somewhere has been simulating that and throwing a suitcase down some stairs. Oh my God, I can't with the autopsy report. It is going to be heartbreaking. I like for George's parents and his family and his children, just if she had any decency, she would plead out. I think the police work from the beginning was sloppy. The interrogation was a massive mess. The detectives argued with her over and over again instead of taking control. Yeah, they did. And it was I mean, I feel like they thought once they had that video, it was a slam dunk. Obviously, Chelsea did not care for Sarah, and didn't know her well enough to know, how to manage her. But I think the evidence is strong enough that I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, because police work always matters, but I don't think it'll be a determining factor for the jury, right? I hope he didn't zip himself in, right? So there's that. Poorly they were lucky she videoed what she did, right? And they knew at that point she videoed. And in the detective's notes, it says that's when it truly turned to a criminal investigation, because they found those videos, and they found them initially at the scene. So they stopped because she had willingly given up her phone and given consent. I don't know if it was written, oral, or both, but she had given consent. And once they saw the videos, they stopped searching through the phone and then filed for a search warrant, because they didn't want to risk that later being thrown out. So all of the police work wasn't sloppy. There was some stuff that was going on behind the scenes, like to make sure it was, I don't know, jury proof, or attorney proof. So they stopped, they got the search warrant for the phone, and the official search warrant was granted like 7 minutes after Sarah arrived at the station for her interrogation there. They had already seen it, they already had it, but they wanted to have that in hand, so that it, if later she claimed she didn't want them to look at everything or whatever else, they were good. I believe she called Brian to help her get out of it and probably help her get rid of George's body. He didn't, and told her to call 911. Then she finally called 911. But why call Brian at all? The suitcase is on wheels. Why not just wheel it out? I mean, who was going to be looking for George? You know what I mean? I'm not saying she should have done that, but there's still so much evidence. Exactly, Michelle. That's what I'm saying. I think the jury is going to hear that video, and hopefully they add subtitles. I know that they always tell the jury, like, if the subtitle doesn't match what you heard, you have to go by what you heard. But that wiggle around some, like, that is disgusting. And if they confuse it for ransom, or like, what is she saying? I just, because I think once you hear it once as wiggle around some, you don't hear ransom anymore. It's like, when you've been singing a song all these years one way, and then you learn the actual lyrics, and then you're like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Right, there's no way. She did not delete those videos, Chelsea said. She found them on the phone at the police interview. Right, she didn't delete them. I know some people were like, they thought she deleted them and hoped. She didn't remember them at all. That's where I think the blackout came in. She was pointing them to the phone. I mean, even in the interview, the entire time, she's pointing at George. She doesn't shed a tear for him. She's saying how, like, she was his savior. And even she and his probation officer spent hours talking about how good Sarah was for him, or 30 minutes or whatever, do you know? And then the telling part was the curtain rod, because I guess a week and a half ago, they got into it, a week and a half prior to the incident, to the murder. And she told them, he hit her with a curtain rod. And so when Chelsea's trying to get the timeline button down, she asked her, so you said a week and a half ago is the last time, because they're trying to get the facts locked in of, like, Sarah's still saying they had a good day and they hadn't been fighting, right? She was like, so it was a week and a half ago. And Sarah goes, yeah, but the curtain rod, that's why I'm surprised you guys didn't take that. What would that have to do with the suitcase? Why would they have taken that? You know what I mean? So she's still trying to make it like it's George's fault ultimately, but she's contradicting herself in there, because they had a good day. So it should have nothing to do with the battered part at that point, or revenge, even though clearly she was vengeful in that taping. Cellbrite did not extract those videos? You mean the detectives who ran it through Cellbrite didn't extract them? How did we get them then? Who extracted them? Because Orange County sent those to me. So somebody got them off the phone. They were spot on. The cops were in there angry to begin with. Oh, behavioral panel? Yeah. They said it was poor training. It's even cheap, because there was one too where, what was it? I wanted to give him 5 minutes, Sarah said. And Scott said, give him 5 minutes for what? And then Chelsea interrupts to say, well, there's at least 11 minutes between the two videos. But I'm curious, what did you want to give him 5 minutes for? Right? Because that would underscore the vindictiveness. She's teaching him a lesson. She's punishing him. She says it repeatedly because she says it on the phone. She wanted to make him squirm a little. So maybe that's why she's telling him, wiggle a little. I want to get it on video so she has evidence that she made him squirm. She says it on the 911 call, make him squirm kind of thing. And then she says it to the first officer on the scene. I wanted to make him squirm a little bit. But when Scott said, give him 5 minutes for what, I wish Chelsea wouldn't have said anything, because what was the lesson she was teaching him, and what was 5 more minutes going to get out of him by staying in the suitcase? And if you're giving him a lesson, i.e. punishing him, what did you expect his reaction to be when you finally let him out? Because your story was you were going to give him 5 minutes and let him out. What did you expect his reaction to be? You know what I mean? Cashman was a very experienced attorney. If there was Brady material, she'd have found it exactly and filed a motion to dismiss excluded pretrial to penalize the prosecution for withholding. And I think she probably looked at that, which is why she had the conversation with Sarah about Chelsea being placed on the Brady list. But then Chelsea was exonerated because her being on the list happened under Cashman's watch, and her being released happened under Cashman's watch. So Sarah had some awareness because she put it in that letter. But we all know what Sarah her hearing and her understanding are two different things. Perhaps it wasn't the best interrogation technique, but from a purely human standpoint, I like the fact that someone stood up to her and called her on her lies, possibly I do too. And honestly, I can't say I would, cause sometimes I just I'm a human being. I get emotional. And if I had seen that video for the first time after having Sarah say in my face, oh, I just fell asleep, we were having a good time, I would be heated, because she almost got away with it. If she hadn't had that video, that would be the only story we had. They were playing and it was an unfortunate accident, right? So maybe they would have charged her with manslaughter. I mean, she's still responsible for his death, but maybe it would have been manslaughter. Do you know? Thank God that she was sick enough to record it. She wouldn't have been able to get the suitcase into the car. He was 100 pounds. The thing said he was 100 pounds, but yeah, maybe. She could have wheeled it out to that thing of water they have over there. I don't know do they have surveillance cameras? So you think she wanted Brian to put the suitcase in the car? I mean, she would have told it herself eventually. She can't stop talking, so it turned out the way that it was meant to. I did see it on something by Matrix channel. I did. Yeah. He was definitely an artist. So that also begs the question, why did she have to encourage him to create art if he was already an artist? Something just smells fishy with that whole story. But again, she's the hero in her own story, right? Nobody's ever tells a story where they're the villain. So it's everything that's good in his life is attributable to Sarah, and everything that's bad, it's alcohol and his background, because she portrayed him in the interview as rough around the edges and he can't sit in silence. I can sit in silence, which she proved in that interrogation she couldn't, because when Scott was trying to sit there and be quiet, she was just so, her nervousness, and everybody, all the witnesses were saying she just talks and repeats herself over and over again. And pretty obvious with apartment security seeing her wheel a suitcase in the car. LOL. Okay, I didn't know if there was apartment security there. I was maybe there was cameras, but I think yeah, it happened as it should. I mean, maybe because Brian is always helping her out, she thought he would be okay being an accessory after the fact. I just don't see why. She doesn't think clearly. I'm thinking a logical person. Why would you put his freedom in jeopardy as well, and he would be the only one to care for Lucas, unless you just thought both of you guys are going to get away with it? Because somebody eventually would be looking for George. Granted, he didn't have a job, so it's not like they were going to call the next day, and he had just talked to his brother that night, but his daughter started calling for him the next day, Cookie, because he had called. There was a missed call that she had, because that's in the notes, and so she started calling the next day Sarah's phone, and Sarah didn't answer. They went apeshit when the male detective leaned over and exposed his weapon to Boone when she was uncuffed. Who did? I saw that in the notes that he showed the gun, but who went if there was more abuse videos, why didn't Sarah bring it up to the police? I think James is going to get egg on his face. Well, she mentioned it in the interrogation, but yeah, she didn't. Like, I would have pulled it up right then and there on the scene, right? She mentions, but I think there was only photographs, and the landlady said that one of the neighbors took a video of it, so maybe they were able to find that. The landlady said they sent it to her, but she had deleted it. But the original person who captured it, if they're on an iPhone, perhaps it's in their iCloud. I mean, my iCloud goes back, oh my god, to at least 2013. So I just want to go back through and make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. Thank you guys for being patient. I did warn you the babies and the dogs were here, but I appreciate you guys hanging with me. Because Sarah can't celebrate Labor Day. She said nobody's going to celebrate anything. Judge and defense attorneys are prepping for tomorrow craziness in court. Yes. Her expert witnesses cost too much. Yeah, that was what Bankowitz's last motion was, and then he withdrew on that day. So, yep, nobody wants to deal with this. She did have the Eisenstein guy that she asked for, so that motion should get ruled on tomorrow unless they withdraw it. But he's done the Wade Wilson, and he did the oh my god, Granville Ritchie case, but he did it in the death penalty phase. She needs to be held accountable. It's astounding how long she's been allowed to play games and waste taxpayer funds. Yeah, I agree. And think of the family. Like, the children are all, her children and his children are all, 4.5 years older. I think his oldest then might be an adult now, or might be like 17, 18 at this point, his oldest daughter. I think it's Anna Marie is the oldest. And then his son, Georgie, he has an intellectual disability. The new attorney has made a living defending tough cases and seems very open to plea deals. This may be a stall to get Boone a deal because trial is going to be a problem for her. Do you think she will take a plea deal? I feel like she's so stubborn. She doesn't want to admit that she was drunk. How to write legal objections to physical evidence, let alone regular motions. Her new attorney will have to review the evidence for himself. Yeah, oh, definitely. She's too worried about vindicating how she appears, right? About her life. Because she said that in the thing with Cashman, when she was complaining about Cashman, of like, she's going to represent my life. No, she's not. That's not her job. She's going to represent or she's going to defend the actions that you've taken specifically related to murdering George. We're not going to start from when you were 2 and got your first whatever. You know what I mean? Like, your life is not, you didn't even have a job, ma'am. Like, don't even start with your life. You didn't have a job. And the last job you had, you got fired because you got arrested for strangling your boyfriend. Like, let's not go down memory lane. It's like, hello. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah, I don't think there's any exculpatory evidence on her phone. It's not there, but she will insist it is. Yeah. So maybe they review that digital evidence together in the presence of her attorney and not in court, but in the presence of her attorney and the ASA, they open up all the files that were on the phone and go through it. I mean, because that's a pretty strong allegation to accuse them of withholding evidence. That's not, leave it to Sarah to always just be reckless at the mouth and threatening people's livelihoods, letting him cool his heels zipped up in the suitcase. Yeah, because clearly he couldn't have gotten out, even if it was half or 2 fingers out when it was upside down. But we don't know how he was positioned. How would he have unzipped it? Do you know what I mean? Could he even see where it was? Why wouldn't he have just let himself out? Why would he be begging for his life? Okay, that's all. Hopefully oh yeah, I left the live chat on. So if you're on the replay crew, you can open up the chat and see the live chat. I'm gonna go through all of these, but she would be an absolute lunatic not to accept the plea, but I don't think she is. Of re-explaining how her actions fit the elements of the crime, he can tell her to reread. That's true. That's a good point, YouTube. And she can see it in black and white what she is being charged with in case she's confused. Because we know she didn't watch that video sitting in the interrogation room. Unfortunately, the laptop died, and then she had a chance to sort of regroup, and I'm sure her heart was pounding like crazy while she waited on that, because she heard just enough of Sarah, and then she said F you one time, and then the battery died. So she hasn't seen the full thing, but she knows it's not good. She will just lie. It's nothing to her. I hope she does take the stand, and I hope the prosecution eviscerates her on the stand. When the attorney will not file something she thinks is her right, he will try to part ways with her. The judge won't let him. This is I agree. I don't think the judge is going to let him out of it, because all of them are motions to withdraw. So the judge has to grant their motion. I don't think he's going to grant it. And I think this attorney knows that. Indifference to humanity, ignore calls about caretaking child. Yeah, she kept saying he was blowing up her phone. He's blowing it up because you're not answering. He wants to make sure you're going to pick up your son. It's not a blow up. Like, he's like, hey, boo, can I slide through? Okay. Before I go, I have a question. Does anyone know what Brian did? I was asking it last night in the SKR chat, and people were like, well, we know he had a job because he was paying her alimony or paying her rent, or paying her alimony so she could pay her rent. I get that part, but he was over there like lickety split. He was over there in 4 minutes, and he showed up in a t-shirt. Does he work from home? Was he off that day? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. And he has to have it where he was preparing to pick Lucas up if Sarah didn't respond. So does he leave his, like, you know what I mean? Does anybody know what he does? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And what was he doing that, yeah, because she was like, I didn't know what to do. Girl, you've called the police every other time. I really wish Brian remembered what Sarah called him about the night before. I think Sarah may have already known she killed him. Ooh. And I didn't realize that Brian had deleted that call until I watched the SKR last night. I think she DV'd George that night. Don't know how she claims DV when she had no marks on her, but he did. Yeah, that is true. So there was not, again, no imminent danger, no threat present at that moment. Because she said that repeatedly. There's nothing on me. I have no marks. This guy will not get to withdraw. You said it's not a given. I agree, in our age, it's not a given, but I think he's going to let her be represented by this person because it's her last hope. And then it will shorten the trial. It will be clear. I just think it tightens things up for appeal, that there's less opportunity. I wonder if he knew he was in the suitcase and is staying quiet not to get arrested for aiding and abetting a criminal. Oh, so Cara, you mean like the night before he remembers that she said that and doesn't want to, because he's included in all of the things because he was on the scene. So they had to rule him out as being involved. Because of that, I think he has to testify. He's got to be on the witness list. And then I don't think he's going to hold back about all the other things he said about her drinking problem. I don't want Brian to be the one to put her in jail. I want Sarah to be the one to put Sarah in jail. Yes. Yeah. With that call the night before. Yeah. I wanted Sarah to go pro se, but the court has their methods. Oh, what did Tony say? Why are you saying that? Oh, that she'll ever tell the truth. I think, yeah, if she would have been pro se, she would have slipped. And she's not good at regulating her own emotions. So, yeah. Oh, my God. Hey, Ritz, how are you? Yeah, I know somebody was like, oh, I want him to close the refrigerator. It's been open for an hour. Right. Yes. Hey, Yana. I saw you last night too. Something is very fishy. If they don't allow the video to be shown, will they let witnesses testify about the video or hear the interrogation where they talk about the video? Ooh, that's a good point. I just think they're going to let the video in. I don't think it's going to be, because like I said, they stopped and they got the search warrant, right? The cops did. And Sarah willingly gave them the phone initially. And it's what happened that night. Like, what would be the reason? She'd have to admit she was drunk or something else. I don't think that they would get that. I mean, that doesn't mean they're not going to try, right? Zealous representation, but I don't think they're going to get it not entered. There seems to be a bit of covering his own. Yeah. I just think it's fishy. Like, why did he delete that? It was in Sarah's phone, but not in his. There's some, and then he's like, oh, I don't remember what she said. There is something odd there. I'm sure the statement of particular, because he was only 2 weeks. Okay. Maybe it's in there. I don't see it in the filings, but it could be in there. Like, he was 2 weeks from that. Maybe he was just worried about how he was going to handle that video, though. I don't want Brian arrested. He is the only. I'm not saying that he's going to get arrested, but it's something odd about it. Yeah. I will say the good thing though about it, him filing it, Owens, on a Friday before Labor Day, the long weekend, is that they had additional time, but he went in at the last moment, and Sarah finally got her surprise. That was in her favor as she views it. From the open break room fridge for the kid. Oh my God. No Woodbridge for the baby. He's asleep now. He got some boobridge. That deleted call sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah. Yeah, that was the first time I heard about that, was last night in SKR. That's why, like, people are like, why do you watch it so much? Like, each time you get something new, because other people pick up on things based on their own perspective. September 3rd will be good. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss anyone. They could move the evidentiary hearing to September 26th, and tomorrow we'll just be dealing with James's motion. Yeah, possibly. I hope he sticks to the child, though. I don't think, especially because Owens waited to the last minute, because he could have put that in on Thursday and they would have had more time to regroup, right? But basically, the next business day is tomorrow, and so I don't know if the judge is going to accept being caught flat-footed and switching everything around. Not so much that it bumps the trial to next year, but a continuance nevertheless. I'm hoping if they do, Yana, that it's just 2 weeks and no more, so that we still stay on the schedule. How many evaluations does Sarah get? It seems like it's been done already twice, maybe. The new lawyer should use that info. Well, we know it's been done, yeah, at least twice. I think I said 3 times earlier. I found the one from Padilla and I found the one from Hobson. Bankowitz, we know, didn't get one. I'm not sure if Patricia Cashman, if hers was granted and completed or not. Is headed to prison. I can't wait. If anything was going to happen with Brian, yeah, I don't think anything is going to, hey, Tara, I don't think anything is going to happen with him. I just think it's fishy that he deleted that and his mind was blank about it. Because, like, when Chelsea called him on it, like, that wasn't in your phone. Because she, in the car interview with Brian, he kind of, like, stumbled and, like, But he had to delete it in between when the call happened and when they took his phone. You know what I mean? Like, why would you consciously go in and delete that one singular phone call? It seems to imply that Sarah did the crime, thus rendering her guilty. Oh, yeah. In order to do battered spouse, you have to admit guilt, because that is mitigation, right? It's a mitigating factor. But you're saying I did it, and here's why I did it. Affirmative defense is, I think, technically what it's called, affirmative defense. Yeah. I believe Sarah was the primary aggressor, just from everything everyone's saying. And George's ex-wife said he was not violent with her. or not abusive, physical or verbal. So, but remember, Sarah said that they always say F you to each other. She was like, you guys don't understand. That's how we talk to each other. And Chelsea was like, that's not normal. I don't say, hey, Scott, fuck you. How are you doing? So hopefully someone will sit down with her, because I'm guessing she's going to prep, that they will help her with her. I'm not saying help her lie, but understand what her contradictions are and how she should clarify what she's saying. Yeah. Thanks, YouTubing. I'm not suggesting anybody have an unfair trial. Put her butt in a suitcase upside down in the basement of the prison. Exactly. Which is like what when she says with no irony, like, oh, I can't be in a cell by myself. I was in there once and it was horrible. I was having panic attacks. She said that after the interrogation when she got arrested, and then she said it when the captain and what's his name, Mr. It starts with a W. I can't think of it. Captain D. Giovanni and her counsel were there. She said it again, ma'am, you put somebody in a very tiny suitcase. Tony. Oh my God, she better give it up. I feel like they should just make her give it up, and it shouldn't even be an option. Like that was a pro se thing. And then she can stop harassing the guards about it. Oh, it wasn't charged, and I want to write a letter, and I want to, like what does she need it for now? Can they rule out better woman? I think they can. I think that's why it has to be sorted out. Like it has to be filed 30 days before. Oh, Sarah, how can she not testify? She has to tell her story about her life, i.e., how horrible George was before he met her, how poor off he was. Everything that was granted due to pro se except the stun. One of her attorneys tried that defense and Sarah didn't like what was said. Yep. And it's in the notes with Hobson. Did not like anything about the battered wife syndrome. And there was something to do with alcoholism in there. Didn't like it. Will spill his guts on the stand and say he knew Brian was in this. I think you mean George was in the suitcase. Oh, don't say that. They got to not do that. Oh, thank you for Lucas's sake, right? We'll ask for manslaughter. Thank you, Angel Baby. How do I pin that up there? Is it in the regular? Oh my God, come on, StreamYard. Hold on, I gotta log in on the other page. Yeah, but see, I'm wondering why none of the other attorneys asked for manslaughter to date. Do you know? Anybody, or has anybody seen that they've tried to do it before? Why didn't they try to get it down to manslaughter? Because I'm thinking even the woman who shot the lady through the door, oh my God, we were talking about it last night. She got manslaughter, right? But is it because of the depraved heart? Is it like maybe if they didn't have the video with her taunting him, they would get the manslaughter? I'm just not sure how that works. Oh, I got two. Thank you. Good morning. Oh, thank you. I just saw that. Okay, those are on the star over here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm wondering why they haven't done that before, but I think you're right, Angel Baby. I think you're right. If she does battered spouse, she has to take the stand for sure. Yep. And that would only lessen her. I mean, because she's facing life, right? So maybe they do that and to get her less than life, but she still seems like she's giving, I'm going home soon. Even in that letter that she wrote to the captain, like she can finally go home. Home is going to be in prison. Oh, thank you, Stephen. So one of them, I have two Yorkies. One is named Liberty. The other one's named Justice. I got them during the pandemic. unreliable witness in her own defense. The body cam videos will expose that before you get to the interviews. Definitely. She's not a fact witness. She's a fantasy witness. I'm making up stuff, but she's definitely not a reliable witness. According to Natalie Lawyer Chick, the battered syndrome defense has been debunked over the last 3 years and no reputable doctor will support. Oh, good. I rewatched hers, but I watched it on like 2 speed the other night because I missed it. I might have missed that part of it. But yeah, I don't think that she meets that. Obviously, Natalie is an active defense attorney, so I trust what she says. The state has several witnesses who said they were both aggressors. So, Michelle, if they're both aggressors, does that mean, are you saying it's okay that, or because they're both, she can't say that she was a sole victim? I don't think she can use blackout defense as can't use it. Yeah, no, blackout is definitely not an excuse for bad behavior. It just means you're walking and talking, and it's not getting transferred to your long-term memory. She missed the deadline it was the 17th for objections to the state's digital evidence, the 9 pieces of digital evidence that they took over. And on the 14th, she said they had only looked at 1 piece of it. So, well, let me say, yeah, she had to file by the 17th. It should have shown up on the docket by now. It hasn't shown up on the docket, so that's what I'm basing that she missed it on. Sarah's new attorney is about to find out that to Sarah, an attorney is basically her assistant rather than someone who she will allow to use his legal. Oh my God, sorry. Who she will allow to use his legal knowledge to direct the way he defends her. So that was the other thing that Natalie said. And I think also the judge has said that there's only certain things that the defendant gets to decide, like whether to take it to trial, whether or not to testify. But strategy is solely up to the attorney. The BSS may be filed, but by Judge Kranick, it may be denied. The BSS? What's that, Jerome? What's the BSS? Oh, battered spouse syndrome. Yeah. Okay. I think they're just inside the deadline, which is why the attorney was so rushed to file everything in this motion. The deadline for the evidence, the 9 pieces, was the 17th. Got to give it to the lawyer. Sarah isn't giving them much to work with. Notice to seek death. No, they're not seeking the death penalty in this case. But we'll have to run everything down and see if there's anything worth using, or if she could just make a plea deal. She's going to irritate, anger a jury. She sure is. And when they see that video, it's a wrap. His probation was deferred adjudication. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought it was pre-trial. Okay, I know deferred adjudication. I watched Judge Boyd. If he completes certain things, then no conviction on his records. Okay. George died before he was able to finish his probation. Okay. There was one case pending for that one. He violated the no contact order, but they dismissed that because he's deceased. Like, I looked through those records. Oh, 259. Hit the like button for me, please, guys. Sarah discredited the battered spouse syndrome by her own testimony given during her police interrogation, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think she has a leg to stand on there. But I think in my heart of hearts, I feel like Owens has a good sense that is not going to work. But he is looking for extraordinary circumstances to get a continuance, because him coming in as the lawyer alone, as the new lawyer alone, is not enough, as stated by Judge Kranick in writing in his 16-page order. So I think he has to come up with some sort of extenuating, you know what I mean? He's trying. That's why I'm like, I think to split the baby, the judge will give them 1 or 2 weeks. She's unintentionally innocent. But does she understand by not taking the plea deal, she leaves her fate to 12 people? She's not a likable person. She's not going to get to honey and baby them, run over and hug them. Experts can cancel each other out, or if one is really bad, the other can just crush them. Done. And I was just thinking that Depth Be Heard, and also Daybell case, and Letitia. I couldn't watch the Letitia Stouch. 1, it was horrible, and 2, the visuals weren't good. But I've watched the interrogations and whatnot. She's like, oh my God, Whoever left her alone with their children, ever. Whoever thought she would be a good mom or stepmom, I don't know. But they can definitely, it's 2 misdemeanors of dating violence. Yeah, he had misdemeanors. She was charged with a felony. The strangling was a felony, although it was dropped. His were all misdemeanors. I even heard George died shortly after his birthday. Yeah, his birthday was February 13th. He was born February 13th, 1978. So I was like, oh, he's his mom's early Valentine's Day present. Yeah. He had just turned 42 on the 13th. The night of the suitcase was the 23rd. They pronounced him dead on the 24th, that Monday at 1:07 p.m. Which is why I felt like vindicated, or some vindication if she gets convicted right after her birthday. Like, yeah, see what it feels like, chica. Owens took the case knowing the judge had said a new attorney will not be the basis for continuance. Exactly. That's why I think Owens is coming up with these other things, because he needs a reason to ask for a continuance with a straight face. It'd take quite the persuader to get Sarah to plea bargain. She's so convinced that her unintentional act doesn't make her guilty of anything. Unintentional. And that was the thing we were talking about too. So I'm glad I'm not. Last night we were saying she probably Googled some of those things, just like the lady, I can't remember her name, Susan, whatever, who murdered her neighbor, shot her through the door, had researched the Stand Your Ground. They found it in her searches. I bet they found in Sarah's searches, because she said as soon as Chelsea was saying it looked like, and she paused, and Sarah filled in and said it's not malicious. Like, you don't know if that's what she was going to say. And then she kept saying not intentional. I think she did some kind of Google search on the little laptop, and they're going to find that, unless they already had the laptop. Maybe she did it at Brian's house. But either way, because she was like, well, I don't know what you guys want me to say. I'm not admitting to anything. Like, she thought that was her going to get her home ticket that night. And no, Sarah, you're under arrest. The people who said they were both aggressors were going on Sarah's claims. The manager there said that George told her that he only hurt Sarah in the course of defending himself. Right. And it seems like that might be corroborated by Brian, although he shouldn't have put his hands on her. Like, there's no excuse for that, right? There's a whole thing, though. Even that, I guess he could claim battered spouse syndrome because he is in his own, what is it, the castle doctrine? He's in his own home, so he can defend himself. He has no right to flee. Yeah, I don't know. But Brian did say, and also Brian is significantly bigger than both George and Sarah. So he, by size alone, could just walk away from her or hold his hand out. You know how you do little kids and then they're still running when you're also a kid. I'm not doing that to children. Yeah, I think that is, Boone's baby voice may work for the attorney, but it will irritate at least some of the jury. She's 47. She should act and speak accordingly. She'll be 47 after the trial. She's 46 right now. Her birthday is coming up. Judge K does not cave. He has been firm and has not taken any of her nonsense, but he has always been overly accommodating on some things. I think he's much stricter than Wooten, but maybe Wooten laid the groundwork for Koenig to be a little firmer with her, because we all see it for what it is now. In the beginning, I thought, well, it's, she is facing life, so give her time. But now it's just like, come on, girl, the family. I have an audio soundboard using all Sarah's taunts, and I hope she has to hear those in solitary. Oh my God. Really, Jerome? Yeah, they just play it over and over again. Depraved. Both sides have had her examined by psychologists, etc., but it seems that the defense hasn't liked what they've done so far and want different ones done. Yeah, so that's what's hard about looking at the docket, because that part is going to be evidence and it's HIPAA stuff, so the state doesn't have to file anything. They're not asking for money, you know what I mean? So it's hard to track exactly what the state has had done, but you can see what the defense has, mainly because they have to come in and ask for money from the JAC. Like, if she were not indigent, we wouldn't have as much information. 21378, yeah. Oh, reveling in his suffering. Yeah, she sounds shit-faced. when she was like, she wasn't drunk, but you could clearly tell I was drinking. No, it sounds drunk, Sarah. Oh, what happened in the Baldwin? Oh God, I wish I knew what that was in reference to. I didn't watch the Baldwin. Wriggle around a little bit is what she said. I want to get some video extra. Boone's got a weird relationship regarding gender. She hates female authority figure. Ooh, and seeks men for emotional support, rescuing until it doesn't come, and then she is cruel. I just see her as cruel. I mean, she does have like, I don't know what. Yeah, she's a walking contradiction, but she's very cruel. She is cruel in a way that's unflinching. Like, she does it the way you would swat a fly away. Yeah. All right, guys, this time I'm going to lay Sugar Bear down. I'm sorry that I did not get to all the comments, but I will sit here and read them. And I'll watch probably later on replay and see some of this. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for your opinions on this. I feel like we're crowdsourcing of what could happen, and we'll know for sure tomorrow morning, but buckle up because I feel like these next couple of weeks are going to be super interesting. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye, true crime fans. Toodles.